We here at Club Random Studios love Simply Safe. If you are looking for home security with an easy setup, we can't recommend it enough. This week only, you can get 60% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan. This is their best offer of the year.
Just visit simplysafe.com/random. That's simply with an I, S-I-M-P-L-I safe.com/random. There's no safe like Simply Safe. I've worked with mostly great people. Mostly, I think the other ones know who they are. And a few of those where I was like, the guy who hired you should be fired. That's why every employer is under huge pressure to hire the right people. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/random. See for yourself. Just go to ziprecruiter.com/random right now to try it for free. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/random. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. I have to tell you about this game-changing product. It's called pre-alcohol. It's time to make a choice. Either have a great night or a great next day. That was until this awesome discovery of pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/random and use code RANDOM at checkout for 15% off.
It just wrote it the way it thinks I talk. And I don't talk that way.
No, not at all.
Size of Texas out there in confluence of...
It was. It's got bigger. Now it's the size of Alaska.
So is Texas.
Bill? You in your normal seat over there?
Hello, Billy.
It's becoming a habit, I'm glad to say.
I'm so glad to see you.
We're like co-hosts.
I've been watching your show as much as I can.
As much as you can.
Well,
what's preventing you? What happens during the week when you
like
can't?
making a living. And
Oh, right. You travel with, you haven't...
I travel so much.
Right. You have your Netflix show.
I have The Unexplained.
You know what it reminds me of? I mean, you're perfect for that and many things, but remember Peter Graves?
Yeah.
Had that show where he kind of did a...
Yeah. Everybody's done one over the years.
Well, it takes a certain gravitas to do a show, to be the host of a show like that.
And you have to be... I've discovered the way of narrating it, because they give me, do a cold read, really. I don't want to see it until it's time to record it. And then I'll do a cold read and enjoy the story like you would enjoy, hopefully you would enjoy seeing it. So I'll do it twice, but the first one is the one I bank on.
What do you think when you see like Shatner impressionists who do the, I mean, it's like...
I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing about that I've ever had. I mean, I'd say to my wife, is that me? So Chatbox, okay? So you could tell Chatbox, write me a story in the way of Edgar Allan Poe, and the whatever it is,
Sure.
and it says on a dank morning with
Sure.
a cloud overhanging,
Right.
and it gives you what. So I said to it, write me this story of having an interview with Bill Maher. Write me the story in a Shatner way. and this story comes out on the day. Morning on the foot. It didn't write it like the way I write. It just wrote it the way it thinks I talk. And I don't talk that way.
No, not at all. But it's, you know why that is?
I fell down.
You know what happens with famous people like you and impressionists is that somebody does, like the first guy who does an impression, like, do you remember Will Jordan's Ed Sullivan?
Did everybody. He did everybody.
Yeah, but he did Ed Sullivan first. And then everybody did Will Jordan's Ed Sullivan.
Oh, right.
So, like, it becomes...
The way of doing it.
It becomes
an impression of an impression.
Of an impression.
Right. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah. But at home, you don't actually, like during sex, you don't be like, honey, I'm coming now. I mean, that's not...
No.
That wouldn't sound like you during sex, would it?
Well, If I was excited, I don't remember.
Scratch my balls. That's not
Really, I should have said that.
Well,
We're off and
it's
running.
good to have you back.
Well, it's a delight to be here. And this night of all nights, the day after.
A post-election, yeah. I feel like for some people, it's very reminiscent of 2016. I certainly was much more apoplectic then. Perhaps I should be again.
Did you see it coming?
No, I picked her. I stuck with my prediction right to the end. I thought she was going to win. I thought America generally moves forward and that they had enough of Trump, just drama. And I won't go into, first of all, Bill, it's depressing to me mostly because I don't want to do it again because I'm bored. The worst thing you can do to me is bore me. I've done all the jokes. I did all of them first. I did Trump the con man editorial. I did Trump the mafia boss. I did it all before anybody. I'm the one who said he wasn't going to concede when nobody was on that page. I've been there, done that. I don't want this series. I've seen this series. I want a new show with new characters. So that bugs me the most, is that there's nothing left to say. I've said it all. You can't get me to think more than I already do that Trump shouldn't be president.
Well,
but
what we now have to think
is.
about is how to mitigate some of what some of us think are the worst things. Like,
well, I think first is congratulations. You not only won, you won big.
He won big.
Everybody should get props just for success, despite the vulgarities and
maybe because of the vulgarities.
Maybe because, but also my mantra: losers look in the mirror.
Well, I think that's what everybody has to do. The thing that worries me the most is global warming. You can, the wrong financial advice and get rid of whatever government agencies you want to get rid of. You can always put them back in 4 years later. But you can't lose 4 years of global warming. I mean, we're seeing these storms hit now. And once in 1,000 years storms are now hitting every other year, every year. And it's not like you could say, well, it's going to get better. It's not.
It's very funny that you mentioned that because, the hardest thing to write on the week of an election, because I have to start it on Monday for the show on Friday and the election is Tuesday. I can't write Monday night who won the election in a show. So I said this week what I want to do and what I'm going to do Friday night is a piece about global warming, about the oceans, because the only time the floating garbage patch in the middle of the ocean was raised was by the insult comic when he made the joke about it and said it was like Puerto Rico, and everybody flipped out about that. And my thing is, yeah, haha, but it's really a sad commentary that neither party mentions this giant problem.
Size of Texas out there and confluence of...
It's got bigger. Now it's the size of Alaska.
So is Texas.
Yeah.
and everyone, all those people moving there,
everyone in it.
Yeah,
but you love all the states. You're beloved everywhere, right? I mean, you're beyond politics.
Am I?
Don't you think?
Well, I hope so. I'll take your word for it.
I don't think people see you as
a political person.
Yeah, well, as someone who, they may imagine, okay, he lives and works in Hollywood and Canadian and probably a liberal, but I don't feel like most people in this country hate, especially the conservatives, quite frankly, are much more tolerant of people they don't like. It's the liberals who are purists, especially the ones in this town. They're the ones who, like, if you don't agree with me 1,000,000%, I don't even want to know you. That's one of the reasons they lost. They have a bad attitude.
I don't know why the Democrats lost. I don't understand why the Democrats lost.
Well, people will be writing books about it for years, many reasons. Part of it was, Biden should not have stayed on so long.
That I understand. But inflation, prices have come down, the economy is good. I mean, I don't know why they voted against her,
Well,
against the party.
I certainly could go on and on about that. But basically, she was not a great candidate, let's be honest. When they asked,
Why isn't she a great candidate? She combined several trends of thought here: black, woman.
that's not a candidate. Those are, that's identity politics. That's one of the Democrats'
those are elements.
Those are nobody elects. I mean, yeah, people are tribal. There are some people who will vote just for the person who looks like them or is like them. But obviously, I think this proves you got to go a lot further than that. You can't just be woman, black person. I mean, Trump got a quarter of black men. That's 25%.
I know.
He didn't do much better in generally because the women are very much against him, but he killed it with Latinos. If there's any great irony in this election, is that the guy who came down the escalator 10 years ago talking about the rapists, they keep giving him more of their votes. And again, I understand this.
Why? Tell me what you understand.
I will. Democrats don't understand their own constituencies. If you're a Mexican American, who do you fear taking your job? The guy who just came in through the border. Of course they like the guy who says, I'm going to keep everybody out.
But he didn't say I'm keeping everybody out.
Well,
I'm going to send everybody out.
Okay, but the Democrats could have won this election in a walk, I think. Not a walk, but I think they could have won it if Biden got out earlier. They had a true primary season to find the best candidate, not just one whose turn was it, who, by the way, before they anointed her, nobody was sort of on the page that she was very good at being a candidate. Or
she failed the first time.
Okay, so if they had done that, and then the pointless reversing of Trump's border policy, which was remain in Mexico and not everything counts as asylum. The Democrats' fatal flaw is they always have to look like the good people. So they reversed that and let in too many people. Not that we shouldn't be a nation of immigrants, but it just was a lawless shit show for years. And people noticed, and then they started to send them, the Democrats' hypocrisy was called out because the people in the northern cities who were like, we welcome everybody. And then the governors on the border states were like, okay, well, here they are. Enjoy this busload.
What hasn't been talked about to the extent I will be is the unrest, given global warming, of millions of people wanting to get somewhere else. And somewhere else is like the United States. There are millions of people that will, in the near future, want to leave their country because they can't live in it.
Yes. And look, I mean, it's going to happen here too. We could lose Florida.
Well, we will.
And if anybody knows about losing Florida, it's Democrats. By the way, Florida, which used to be a swing state, is now just bright red. And you know why it is?
Him?
No.
The governor?
The influx of Latinos. So, again, the irony of the Republicans accusing the Democrats, I don't think the Democrats are doing this, of purposely letting in all these Latin people to vote for Democrats. And then, in Florida, it worked out the other way.
Yeah.
They voted for the Republicans.
Well, the best laid plans everywhere, anytime, anywhere. What did he say? You have a plan, you get hit in the face, and
that's Mike Tyson. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's fighting Jake Paul. Let's go. I bet you could get.
Do you want to go?
Yeah. Where is it? Is it like Vegas?
I believe it's Vegas.
You want to go to that fight? It's like,
But we have to go.
I can't. It's the night before my last show of the season. Oh no, not the last show. It's the night before a show. It's the 15th of this month, and I got
Oh, it is.
on the 16th. Yeah.
You know where you should go with
something.
me? I'm going to the Antarctic Christmas week.
Oh, yeah. Let me start packing now, Bill. Yeah, that will happen never.
You're never going to go to the Antarctic and see what you can't see anywhere else.
I don't go east of La Brea. I'm. No,
yes, you do. You fly all over the country.
I'm kidding, but no, I definitely don't go to rough places like that. The fact that you do is just astounding, and you look the same as when you were here before. You don't seem to age that much.
Well, it's happening. It's all internal.
Well, yeah. Oh man, did you watch that movie, The Substance?
No.
You ever heard of it with Demi Moore and?
I heard about her in it. Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of performance where the critics, which first of all, she is fantastic, but they're all, they do love it in Hollywood and love to call you brave when you're known as a beautiful woman, which she is, and then you get ugly on camera, or have the balls to, show yourself as you really are without makeup. And the movie is about this woman who is in her early 60s, and she's got a exercise show, and they're replacing her because, come on, you're 61 now, we need someone younger. We can get to why that's kind of hypocritical in ways. But so she hears about this substance that you can take and you inject yourself, and what happens is another you, like your back opens up and another you comes out, who's her like at 22.
Who plays that?
Margaret Qualley.
Oh, I see. It is an actual actress.
Yes. And then in the movie, you get like 1 week, you're not two different people. You're the same person. You're like sharing this substance that you shoot each other up with. But
what's happened to the original body?
It lies dormant for a week while the other one goes out in the world. And then they switch, and you have to do it this way. And of course, what happens is that it breaks down, and they do see each other as rivals, and they do start hurting each other in different ways. And she's using up all, and she's doing that.
Okay, so let me tell you your enunciation of that story. And now I'm in the position of a producer. I've got money, I'm going to make a film. And you tell me that story, and I say to you, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It would never go. It's just impossible to do, and I don't think it'll go. And I'm not touching that. And given the milieu of what's happening in Hollywood now, where things are like very trepidation. Nobody's spending money. Nobody's buying anything. Very few people are making content because they had bought so much prior that there's a real dearth of work going on here. That story told to me in this day and age, I would have said, if they said to me, me Shatner, I would have said, that's crazy. You'll never sell that story.
Why? I think it's, first of all, it's supposed to be a commentary on how...
Youth. On the striving for you.
Well, yes, exactly. On how much we worship youth, which I don't think is exactly blowing the cover off a big secret that people like good-looking young people, certainly for that dimension. What I find a little hypocritical is you can't kind of have it both ways. Like the young people are always saying about my generation, the boomers, move over, you guys are hanging on too long. We want to, you're blocking the way for us. And then this movie is about, well, they're doing that. They're moving out the 61-year-old. No, boo! That's bad. How dare you throw her out to the... So you can't have it both ways.
Right.
They're doing precisely what they ask. It's here's the young, hot one now. And, but, I mean, the director obviously wanted this movie to be tough to watch. I mean, there's just a lot of like close-ups of decaying flesh and stuff like that. Obviously it was intentional. Having confidence that I am safe at home is one of my biggest priorities. Well, we'll file that under duh. Do you feel unease when you go to sleep at night or leave your home? I do. Yeah, I do now. in LA, which is why Simply Safe is a great new way to protect your home that stops intruders before they break in. With Fast Protect monitoring and Live Guard protection, Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm, can even see and speak to intruders to stop them in their tracks. Well, that's it. I'm firing my dogs.
We here at Club Random Studios love Simply Safe. If you are looking for home security with an easy setup, we can't recommend it enough. Simply Safe is offering listeners exclusive early access to their Black Friday sale. This week only, you can get 60% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan. This is their best offer of the year.
Just visit simplysafe.com/random. That's simply with an I. SIMPLI safe.com/random. There's no safe like Simply Safe. The marketing gurus from Radioactive Media are back and bringing you another episode of Club Random. It's the end of the year, and as a business owner, why not power into the new year stronger than ever with Radioactive Media? You too could tap into the power of podcast and radio. Our friends at Radioactive Media know the recipe to launch, optimize, and scale performance by building compelling audio campaigns that work. For advertisers who want to reach the right audience, text them. Just text RANDOM to 511-511. Start planning for 2025 now. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text the word RANDOM to 511-511. Discover how audio marketing can surpass your current strategies with new and innovative ways that sound better. Go to radioactivemedia.com or text RANDOM to 511-511. Text RANDOM to 511-511 today. Message and data rates may apply.
I flipped through the television
Movie channels?
movie. Well, I'm looking at what do I feel like looking at tonight?
Right.
Huh? What do you
Yeah.
feel like looking at tonight? And the days, especially this whole last several months, with all that was on television was politics and dire things are happening.
Well, no. If you flip to the movie channels, you'd see 50 movies.
No. So what my point is, what do you feel like seeing to get away from all the things that are, because you got to stay abreast of the news. You're part of the life, so you have to watch what's happening in the life.
I certainly do for my living.
Well, of course,
you know,
and I do for
you're a citizen.
Exactly. Well, yes, in
not of this country.
but in looking for something to escape that,
right?
The last thing I want to see is that ugliness. So I find myself looking at these stupid. But 5 heroes saving the world.
But there's a million things in between. Yes,
cooking shows.
You don't have to go all the way to cooking shows to get away from the news. Just watch. I mean, any movie that's ever been made, any television show that's ever been made. I mean, this like everything that's ever been made can be seen. So why do you have to watch a cooking show?
Well, because some of those I wondered that myself.
Because it soothes you.
It's soothing, but also...
Well, you're a foodie.
But it's of interest. What's going into... How is it being made? What is it being done? Or redoing a house.
Remember at dinner you were mad at me because I ordered the same thing as you? You were like, what are you doing? We need variety. I think you wanted to eat off my plate so you could have another type of food to sample. I was like, you idiot.
Multiple sensations. It's important.
But not at the same time. I mean, you don't want to mix food and sex. That's always a big mistake, don't you think?
I've never understood that. Have you?
No, it's stupid.
Have you ever...
We all do everything when when we're young.
Not everybody puts syrup on their genitals.
No,
or cake.
Well, you know, if it's on your genitals, you're not the one licking it off. So, you know, it's not, it doesn't bother me that much.
What does me?
But I don't remember ever having syrup on my genitals, but
Did you ever have food?
I do
put on
remember
it?
the song by Victor Moan, "Syrup on My Genitals." Yeah, what a
But he
crooner!
did it
Oh my
right.
God!
It was a syrupy
And I
way
think
of doing it.
Mel Torme also did it
Mel
in
Torme
later
was good.
years in
Syrup
The
on my-
Velvet Fog. Yes, he
Right.
was syrup on my balls.
Are we the only ones who would remember Mel Torme? Is he
And Victor Moan.
and Victor Moan?
And elections. Do you know that, like, one of the most popular, maybe the most, I think, yesterday Google searches was, who is running in the United States election? Like, tons of people didn't know Biden had dropped out. Yeah, that's the country you're living in.
I hate to think of it that way.
But Bill, you can just just like like if you go to any of the streaming services that have movies and you go to search, just put in like any letter, random, like B, and then BA, and then all the movies will start coming up that begin with that, and you'll go, oh, Balls for the Holidays, I remember that one. And I mean, it's just so easy to find something that's a little more satisfying than just.
The black and whites, you know, the whodunits, they were good, but I need a movie tailored to my mood, and that's difficult to do.
Right. Yeah, I also like movies with pretty people in them. I'm not going to lie. If I'm going to
That's-
stare at the screen, you know, because not all the TV I consume am I looking directly at the screen. I have a TV in the kitchen, and I'm making food, and I love that.
That's no way to see a movie.
Well, it depends on the movie. It's on how much I want to see it.
Well, there you
Or
are.
if I've seen it before. Like, I got The Revenant on in the kitchen now.
Do you look at a movie with a technical attitude as well?
No,
That's
I
a
mean-
good shot. That was, I wonder how they got that.
Sometimes. I mean, I made my living as an actor mostly in the 80s and certainly did enough television and movies to understand it and remember it, and glad I'm not still doing it. But I don't want to. I did have a long discussion with Quentin Tarantino here once about the movie
I was here with when he was.
Yeah, the movie 1917, the World War I movie.
I love that movie.
I did too. And to
How did they do that movie?
This was my point to Quentin, and he
Yeah.
felt I was overly impressed with it, and maybe I was, because he's a cinematic genius. So to him, it was no big trick. To us, it was.
It's a big trick.
I think so too.
Of course.
No, he allowed that, but he just thought I was a little overly impressed with the one-shot thing. And I understand. I got where they changed the magazine when he goes in and it turns to black. I get it. Hitchcock did the same thing with
Absolutely. Hitchcock did it all the time.
not all the time. He did it in Rope.
And I'll tell you who else.
Rope.
In Rope.
That's the
He'd
movie.
go into a trunk.
Yes. Or
dolly
he'd go
into a
right
trunk
behind
and come-
Jimmy Stewart's
Right.
back.
Right, and pull back.
I mean, but that's the technology. The magazine doesn't last more than like 40 minutes. So
That-
you got
11 minutes on a magazine. But now that doesn't that
Right.
isn't a problem.
No.
Electrical.
But just to give the audience that point of view where there's never a cut, it just brings you so much more into the story, like, wow, I'm really here, because it's continuous as our life is, not
Orson Welles did a lot of it too.
one shot.
Where he, yeah,
Like what?
Uh,
Not Citizen Kane.
not Citizen Kane, but what was the other one that the
Magnificent Amberson
Magnificent Amberson.
is one shot.
And also some of the gangster movies. Our friend director Gangster
Clint Eastwood.
Gangster.
Ice Cube. Edward G. Robinson.
Well,
Jimmy Cagney.
No, the director of
Martin Scorsese?
Martin Scorsese
Okay, I feel
did
like,
a long shot.
I feel like we're a married couple that just lost the newlywed game. But it's just an amazing movie and some of the shots, remember the one where he sees a plane, they're on the ground, and you see it having a dogfight in the distance, and without cutting, the plane has a dogfight up in the sky and then crashes right where these actors were looking at it and pointing at it in the sky. And then it continues as they drag the guy out of the plane, and then he kills him.
How did they? Well, they must have superimposed. They did it.
And this. Don't get me started on award shows, but this is, just to me, evidence number 392 that they're full of shit, because a movie like that and The Revenant, which I've always thought should have won Best Picture, because they took the art of filmmaking to another level. That has to be better than just, it's the kind of movie that made us feel good about ourselves. I
absolutely agree with you,
Yeah.
but especially there are awards for that. It's taking the technology that everybody knows. I mean, it's advanced, but superimposition and special effects, but taking it to such like that, with that scene of a dogfight going on while the characters, it's like, that's not important. What's important is down here. No, that's not important. But oh my God, it's important. It's so
Right.
an intelligent use of existing technology.
All I could think of after I watched that was the very first movie that won the Academy Award was Wings.
Right.
Howard Hughes.
Right.
Scorsese made the movie about Howard Hughes, and that's the whole first act.
I've forgotten that a long time.
Yes, The Aviator.
Yeah.
DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And he's playing Howard Hughes, and Howard Hughes is making a movie and spending more money than anyone has ever made on a movie. The year is like 1928. And they shoot it. It cost like $1 million, which was like $1 trillion back then. And then it's bad. He doesn't like it. And he reshoots it because they needed clouds to give a sense of movement of the planes. Otherwise, it didn't look like it was real. You have to see perspective.
Right.
So they reshot it with clouds. But to think that was the first movie about a World War I plane in a dogfight, and then we move over to 1917 and saying, wow, the progress that we do not acknowledge progress in this country well.
Well,
I'm
a living.
Yes, that's it. You're living. Let's not get greedy.
I worked with cameras that were the size of bears, with heat coming out of them from tubes and fans inside the cameras to dissipate the heat. So when a camera came in for a close-up, it was like a breathing monster. People wilted when a television camera came in for a close-up. Now, they're tiny cameras with long lenses, and you don't know they're there. And marks you had to hit. Now you don't have to. It's lit in such a way. I mean, it's just the difference between the technology of 20, 30, 40 years is the technology of...
I did not know that about the Bear camera.
Oh, my Lord.
And
they were gigantic. They were as big as the chair, bigger than the chair.
And they emitted heat?
They had tubes that had, remember radios?
So this is like when you did, what's the one with the Twilight Zone?
No, that was long before Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone?
Oh, I was active in Canada when television came in. We didn't know what it was.
Canada has television?
Canada won all the awards for radio in the 50s, in the early years. And then one day, about a year or two after it came into the States, Canada said, we must have television. They kind of rearranged a radio studio to have some lights and a camera in it. And I was a part of it. And I wrote for it as well. I met my first wife on a show that I wrote, I cast her as the actress. Lousy show, not a great marriage.
Cast her, married her. That sounds a little Puff Daddy-ish.
Doesn't it? Yeah. But the technology, which I'm a witness to, is mind-boggling.
It is. In every dimension of life.
Cancer.
Yes. Well, not as, I mean, progress, but not, you would have thought back in 1970 when Richard Nixon declared a war on cancer, you would have thought, 54 years later, probably a little bit, I mean, I don't think any of us will be satisfied until we can walk into a doctor's office and have him say, oh, you have cancer, but we know what caused it and we know exactly what to do.
They're close.
You think?
Yeah.
Wow.
With chemicals and
I'm going to start drinking again. At these prices, I can't afford not to get cancer.
Have you had cancer? No.
What a question.
Well, no.
If I had, I wouldn't tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm very private about that kind of stuff. I have never missed a show except the two they made me miss because I had
Cancer.
COVID.
Oh.
I mean, it was their choice, but I've never missed a show in 31 years. Never missed a stand-up performance except when the plane couldn't get in. Never because of sickness. I believe the show must go on. And I believe you don't talk about your personal problems. I've never burdened the audience. Some people do, and it's fine. I'm not knocking it.
But it's not a burden. For example,
Well,
and I too,
well, that's how I see it.
I've never missed a performance. I've never missed.
Is that right?
I've never missed a performance.
Some people wish you did.
Right. And I don't miss those people either.
But enough about Mr. Spock. Or so, who's the one you're feuding with? The driver.
I don't feud with anybody.
Sulu. Don't you feud with him still?
There are sick people in this world that if you fight with them, it's a losing battle. I mean, the illness has taken over.
He seems like such a nice guy, but I just always want to say, come on, you just drove. That was somebody's bit about Star Trek.
No.
He drove. What was the big deal? I have worked a lot of places over the years, from comedy clubs to TV networks, and this podcast you're watching right now. I've worked with mostly great people. Mostly, I think the other ones know who they are. And a few of those where I was like, the guy who hired you should be fired. That's why every employer is under huge pressure to hire the right people. Oh, I get it now. This is for ZipRecruiter. Very clever. That's where ZipRecruiter can help. ZipRecruiter has figured out how to solve this very problem. Geez, where would they were in 1995? I could have used them that year. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/random. See for yourself. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/random right now to try it for free. That's the same price as a genuine smile from a stranger, a picture-perfect sunset, or a cute dog running up to you and licking your hand. Ugh, gross.
Remember, if you want to find the right candidates for your office, you need ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/random.
Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/random. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Okay, today we are talking about the fashion brand Rhone. When ever not? Look, have you ever tried to figure out what to wear and just wish there was a simple solution? I know I have. Well, true. I actually have done that. Did it today. Men's closets are due for a radical reinvention. Oh, they are. And Rhone has stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man. They have products for every occasion. We're talking about the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, and blazers. They look great as individual pieces and work seamlessly together. The pants are so comfortable, your favorite late-night host, I guess that's me, can deliver a monologue joke in them and then go right out and shoot hoops. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I could. I take the point. The clothes are like the best point guard. They have balance, versatility, and mobility. Head to rhone.com/random and use promo code RANDOM to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to rhone.com/random and use code RANDOM. It's time to find your corner office comfort.
We here at Club Random Studios love the Commuter Collection. It's perfect for work, play, and everything in between. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/random and use promo code RANDOM to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/random and use code RANDOM. It's time to embody your most confident self.
Have you been ill and gone on?
Of course.
Well, what kind of illness?
Back in the day,
What's that mean? Whose fucking day is it that you're talking
it's generically, it can mean anything. And people also say, that was a minute, I haven't seen you in a minute.
about? Right.
These are just,
No, but what does back in the day mean?
back in the day, well, it's, kids are not exactly what you call up on history. So it's good for them because they can say back in the day, and it just means generally before now, which is all I know about history. They don't know, whether the Middle Ages came before the Renaissance or the other way around. So back in the day is just generic and suits them very well. I think that's where it came
Well,
from.
where does your back in the day
Okay,
start?
but when I say back in the day in that instance, it would mean like when I was younger, like when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, I got way sicker than I do now. I got flu, cold, a few times a year because I lived so much less healthy, because I learned how to live healthier. And of course I have to, because when you're older, you're on a short leash. You seem to be able to do whatever you want. I don't have that luxury. I have to
No,
live.
I eat very.
This is like I allow myself a drink or two only on Wednesday night.
Is that right?
Yeah, this is it.
Because you play with the reputation of being a hard
pothead.
liver.
Oh, I am a pothead.
Yeah, but that's bad for your lungs.
I wouldn't say it's good ever to put smoke in your
that's
lungs.
just a negative way of putting it. It's bad for your lungs. I wouldn't say it's good. What you mean is it's bad for your lungs.
Yes, counselor.
You've evaded that reality.
I have not evaded it. I'm aware of it, and it's a trade-off that I discuss with myself many times.
Who wins the argument?
Well, obviously, pot.
Well, obviously, I do. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. Of course, there are people who smoke from the minute they wake up to the end of the day. I am so far
very
from
few.
that. Not, yeah, well.
Well, they're living in another reality.
You can certainly name a number of celebrities who have done that.
Who smoke from morning till night?
Snoop Dogg.
So they're who?
Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson.
Snoop Dogg does?
Snoop Dogg, yes.
Still?
Well, he did. He did back in the.
He seems very alert now.
He did back in the day. No.
His or yours?
No, I think he probably. I don't know if he still does, but he certainly did. A lot of those rappers. do. And I'm
Snoop
talking
Dogg
about.
is an interesting character.
Oh, he's great. I love him.
But I've always thought of him as being like exotic. But on this show he's on, he's so there. He's so
What do you mean
funny.
Exotic?
Well, I mean, removed from my reality.
Right. No, he's just a dude from Long Beach.
Who's got a quick mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look at the way he parlayed a career that started out, way in the, serious gangster rap phase, where if you quoted some of the lyrics today, I mean, you would not win the Now Man of the Year award. I mean, rap in that day was very misogynistic, and it's just how that was, and some of these guys, LL Cool J also, they started from there, and now it's a brilliant thing to do. They mainstreamed it. That's what you have to do. That's what singing stars do. I mean, Lady Gaga, started out very counterculture and, was wearing meat dresses and stuff. And, but now she's whatever she is, 40 or 38 or something. And so she's much more of just like, oh, now I'm a movie star and, I can sing with Tony Bennett. And
that's true.
You got to grow with your audience. But as they age.
Snoop Dogg has done a metamorphosis. I mean, that's from the dreadlocks or whatever it was, the long pigtails, and the rap. And almost.
Yeah, but I used to have him on Politically Incorrect in the 90s. He's the same guy.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, they would come, and the hallway would just be filled with the smell of smoke. I mean, there'd be, and I would just so admire that.
Let me ask
the
you a
balls
question.
to just say, "Fuck it." You know what? Arrest me for this
Let me
stupid
ask you
crime.
a question about smoking pot. When I did, and I haven't done it in a while for, I don't know.
The night is young.
Well, I'm afraid of losing control of my
Bladder.
of my imagination. I've had some bad trips, and
Really?
yeah.
But you don't really trip on pot. I
Well, you
wish.
can. Well, it depends on the individual. You trip.
Yeah.
You
I mean, you
you
can.
lose reality.
Well, I sure don't. I mean, I'd love to.
What do
but
you mean?
I've been smoking for 50 years, Bill. I mean, I do not lose reality. It'd be awesome, but I don't.
But the reality changes. It has to. Why else
No.
would you
Oh,
smoke it?
please. That's not the reality. That's just your mood. That's just your mood, and it turns
But your mood conditions your reality, man.
to a degree. But
No,
we're
that's
talking
it.
about
You feel bad. You're looking around. I'm going to commit suicide. You feel good. Let's go party.
right, and those are the extremes, which I'm telling you, this doesn't bring me to in either way.
Really?
Of course not. I mean, come on. What world are you living in? There are drugs that do that to you. I mean, there are tragic stories sometimes where somebody young dies. It just happened with a pop star.
You don't find your driving affected?
Well, I
Your
don't
car-
drive. I don't drive.
You
on
don't
pot.
drive when you're.
No,
Why not?
because
Because it affects your reality.
no, because if I get caught, they'll punish me for it. That's why I can drive perfectly well stoned. I wouldn't do it anymore, but back in the day, I remember one time in band camp. No, one time I was driving. Must be in my early 30s, and I was, didn't care back then, apparently. And I remember driving to this place and having zero memory of driving there because your brain, you have the two halves of your brain.
Right.
And the half of my brain that did things like saw red lights and stopped, and that was working fine.
Yeah.
And the other half of my brain was thinking about 1,000 other things and had no recollection of the actual roads.
But you could do that without smoking. You could drive a distance there. How the hell did I get here? But you're talking about altering the reality to one degree or another. And if you're in it, do you know the degree with which you've altered reality?
You just said it, 1 degree. If you alter something 1 degree, it's not that much. And you probably are always altered by 1 to 10 degrees in any given day based on how much sleep you got.
Yeah, but that's such a rationale for smoking as much as you do. It's not good for your lungs.
I don't smoke that much.
Oh, really?
No. That's what I'm telling you. There are people like Snoop and Woody. I think for years Paul McCartney was that person who just when they traveled with pot, they traveled with bags of it. They go through like a bag a day. I go through a bag a year.
The way you talk, it sounds like you smoke it all the time. Then you don't.
You're hearing that. Just
from your mouth.
No. What you hear is I do pot jokes. It's a funny thing. People like to have things about them. And of course, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't true. I am a longtime tribune for the cause of marijuana legalization, and I think it's a great drug if it is for you. It's not for everybody, and that's true with any drug. It really depends on how it agrees with your body chemistry. But certainly, I hope you're libertarian enough to say if it agrees with mine, then
I'm glad it's
yeah, and that's all it is.
It's legal because it's a natural thing, and it's like those leaves that are popular in Africa, where they
Got.
yeah.
Cut.
Caught.
Khat.
Yeah, gotcha. Yes, they're doing the same thing, aren't they?
That's like cocaine. I mean,
It is cocaine.
we know that cocaine here in America is not cocaine. It said the best you'd ever get was about 50% cocaine. When they chew it, as they have for millennia in the jungle, it's not the same. It's not that speedy asshole high that we get from cocaine. That's probably what the fuck they mix it with, and some of the cocaine. But the natives who, I've been told this by people who would know, like when they just chew it, it's like It's a much mellower high.
Yeah, no, it's reasonable given the conditions in Africa that they sometimes live under. If they're,
Did
especially if they're living in the bush, it's tough.
Did you ever do coke?
Yeah, but what I found was it deadened, froze my nose, and then things would drip, and you weren't aware that you had a lot of moisture coming out of those, and it was not leading man like. Excuse me, you got snot. Excuse me, is that caught? No, snot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you certainly were, riding high primo, on the, I think in
Back
that
in the day?
well, back in the day when coke was much more acceptable. I mean, it was much more acceptable in the 60s, 70s.
You mean it's not acceptable now?
It is not acceptable now.
Really?
People literally would offer it in business meetings. I don't think you'd find that today. Even in
Wow.
Hollywood, I
Well,
don't.
because they probably didn't know about it.
Yes, and then people started to die.
Yeah.
There was a famous basketball player who was going to be a great Celtic, and he died,
Yeah.
young. And
I got invited to a party with some frequency. An actor friend would every Saturday night have a party and have coke and marijuana, and I'd go to the parties and sniff and snort and drink and they'd say, I read in the news about some Thai fishermen way out at sea, and a wave came and swamped the boat. And they fell out of the boat in the middle of the ocean. They're in the middle of the ocean and they're trying to swim. And suddenly they feel solid something under their feet.
the submarine.
Huh?
Submarine.
No.
Oh.
Porpoises.
Oh, porpoises.
And the porpoises took them to the land. And we started to laugh. What would it be like to be, you're striving and suddenly in the middle of the ocean, you're riding a porpoise? It's crazy. And we'd laugh and laugh and laugh and then go home. And the next week, somebody would say, I heard about these Thai fishermen. And they tell the same story. And week after week after week, it seemed like a new story. We would laugh about it, having heard it for the first time, except, didn't we did this last week? And there would be that laughter about that.
I mean, drugs can make you laugh. Mushrooms are the ultimate laugh.
I did
drug.
mushrooms.
I don't know. People have different experiences, like I say, with different drugs. To me, it's the only drug that didn't make me horny, that made me think, sex, what the fuck? Why would I put something of mine in you? That's ridiculous. But the laughter, I remember the second time I did it out here, maybe it was the third time, but we were also drinking beer, not a lot, and of course, this drug just makes you laugh hysterically for no reason for great times on end, and you're on the floor, you just want to get low. And every time we would laugh hysterically for 2 minutes, I would say, man, this Budweiser is fantastic, which was funny the first time.
Right.
But on mushrooms, it was funny 100 times. You can't, you can't buy that.
I went to Amsterdam with my wife just for the purposes of seeing what the drug situation was like. We were in London.
What year are we talking about?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And we flew to Amsterdam. It was in the winter, and so they're selling it on the street. So we smoked a little, and we got some mushrooms that we took back to the room, and we ate them, and then I was sure there was a head of a lizard coming out of the wall. Okay.
Hey, that's no way to talk about your wife.
She got up off the wall. That's funny. That's the funniest thing you've ever said. And I'm not stoned. So she speculated on world peace, and I was transfixed by these monsters coming out of the wall. So that was scared me to death. I never want to do it again.
Yeah. I wanted that experience on mushrooms. I never got it. It never made me hallucinate. I did acid or whatever, acid, you know. There hasn't been acid since the 60s. They make something and they sell it as acid because it's unregulated, but it's not acid. But something I did once, and I did hallucinate a little. I did see somebody was playing a guitar, and suddenly their fingers were like comically elongated.
Oh, in your sight.
That's
yeah.
what
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh, here it is.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And I thought, I was waiting for Yellow Submarine to come on, the
Right.
full-length movie.
But it was just long
And that
fingers.
was it.
Yeah.
Because my mind, that makes sense to me. They can't hypnotize me, although I would love to have that happen. Some minds just are locked in some places, for better or worse.
Bill, I was hypnotized.
Thank you.
No, I'm going to hypnotize you.
Now?
Right now.
Oh, come on.
Okay, no.
Oh, if I'm up here walking around like a chicken.
No. It's going to be the most pleasant experience you've ever had. And I'll do it the way they did it to me, okay? All right, now, really, seriously, close your eyes. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Stop laughing.
All right.
Stop laughing.
I'm taking it very seriously.
Okay, take it very seriously. Close your eyes.
Okay.
I want you to count backwards from 3. Stop laughing.
It's a short journey,
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
No, slowly.
Oh.
Dwell on each number. Dwell on each number.
3 is for the number of tits a Martian chick has.
Relax your brain. Relax.
2.
Good.
1.
Okay, open your eyes. Open your eyes.
Kill Shatner.
No.
Kill Shatner.
No,
Kill
you were hypnotized.
Shatner. I must
you were
kill
hypnotized.
Shatner.
Do you understand? You were out for about 5 minutes. You were out for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And that's what they did to me, and I thought, was I?
Yeah.
And they brought witnesses in. No, you were out.
Okay.
That's what they did.
Is this your party trick? Is this what you play on everybody?
Right, what's my party? Right. Oh, it's so much fun. Everybody laughs.
I have to tell you about this game-changing product. It's called pre-alcohol. Let's face it, I don't bounce back the next day from drinking like I used to, which is why my only few drinks a week are on this show. It's time to make a choice. Either have a great night or a great next day. That was until this awesome discovery of pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Whew. It was invented by PhD scientists, the best kind, to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And who parties like those guys? Nobody. Maybe archaeologists, maybe. But just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. I kept hearing about pre-alcohol and wondered what it was actually like. Now I get why everyone's talking about it. Go to zbiotics.com/random to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code RANDOM at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, I mean, with this product, not in general, with your life or your sex life, that could be taken the wrong way, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
We here at Club Random Studios love Z-Biotics. We all use it before a post-recording session night out. We all showed up at work the next day clear-minded and ready to edit this week's episode. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. And now that we've tried it, we get why everyone is talking about it. And with their GMO technology, Z-Biotics is continuing to invent probiotics that will help with everyday challenges of modern living.
Remember to head to zbiotics.com/random and use code RANDOM at checkout for 15% off. But I would love to I would pay
To be hypnotized?
a year's salary to just have a video of that party that you talked about walking into.
Well, it's probably not enough money.
I know, but just if I could see, I could hear the 60s or 70s music, Da-na-na-na.
You
And then
think
all these.
that's the party I went
I
to?
know.
No, they
I
had a
want to be
cake.
there.
He would order this giant cake the size of this table, and people would, grab the cake as they smoked. They would grab a piece of cake and eat the cake, and it became like a frenzy of eating something sweet and tasting it going down. It was novel and new and interesting.
It was like a ditty party, but with cake instead of cock. And they invited all the
A
fat people
ditty
in
party.
Hollywood.
Did
yeah.
you ever go to one of those?
I'm flattered that you think that the question
Well, that's
is
exactly
even
who. Why
reasonable.
wouldn't you invite you?
Bill, I love you for that. No, I was. It's funny.
But you'd have gone, right?
It's so funny. I used to run into Puffy, here and there, events. I remember he was at the Oscars. I remember talking to him a lot the night Chris Rock got slapped by Will Smith. And he's one of those guys. Maybe it's Trump.
Well, how does that relate with Puffy?
I'm talking about Puffy.
I see. Okay.
I'm talking about Puffy.
I thought maybe you were wandering off.
No.
Okay.
I would run into him now and then at events and stuff.
Who?
Puffy.
Okay, I thought we were talking about Chris Rock.
No, I said I saw Puffy that night at the Oscar party the night that Chris Rock.
He actually didn't mention that, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, because I was out for 5 minutes again. Okay, so I would see him, and he's not one of those guys who, like, you could see why he's so successful. I mean, he had smart instincts in the business, but also just like could give you that 2 minutes of undivided attention. It made you feel like you're the most important person in the world. There are people who just have that skill. Trump was that guy. They said.
Okay.
I remember meeting Donald Trump well before he was president, and he kind of had that thing, like he would just
envelop you.
Engage you for a couple of minutes, and Puffy would always be like, you want you want to, here my number. I really wanted you to call me, and you'd call it, and it was never would return the call. I knew he would do that, so I didn't even want to. But I was like, oh, but if I don't call, then am I the asshole?
Right.
Okay, so but that's just who he was. He was just a personable guy. But I don't think I was on the list for the freak-offs. No,
would you have gone?
Would I have gone? Yes. In that era, I mean, so if we're talking about the early part of the century,
That era and that area.
I was out at places that were like that all the people there would have loved to have been at the freak-off party, but we weren't, so we were at Club Shitty.
Right. That's been no different. You have to take your clothes off and screw as much as you can to have
obviously, Bill, what went on in those parties was just way beyond what even.
What went on? What do they say went on?
Oh, okay. Well,
imagine. Tell me.
I think you should save this one for your Netflix series, but okay, we'll talk about it.
Let me introduce
it. You might want to do a deep dive because everyone at that party.
Let your minds go.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, first of all, you have to understand, like, music culture, already very different. And
from him.
You know this from singing Rocket Man. No.
I got an album that I'm working on.
The music world is so sexual to begin with.
It is?
Yeah. Are you kidding? Are you fucking with me?
No,
I'm not. The music industry, it's just more sexualized than even like acting is to a degree. You're doing love scenes and stuff. And people are attractive when they're on the set and you're away from home. It's conducive. Music industry, beyond conducive.
Wow.
Because, first of all, music is sex. It's sex in the eardrums, but it makes people sexual. I mean, a lot of the songs are about love and sex. People fuck to it. They go to a club, they take drugs, they dance, you're rubbing in your dancing, it's just sexual. And women get pussy boners for music and people who make music more than any other, profession by far.
I had no idea.
Yes, you did. Rock stars don't get laid is a revelation.
Well, no, but a rock star with all the nymphs yelling and screaming and wanting to touch them, that I can understand. But the music industry is an industry.
Okay, rap culture. Now we're taking it to an even further level. I mean, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school that rap videos, like where they would shoot the video, especially, I'm talking about back in the day.
Those were beautiful women back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure they still are.
Yeah, but
now Man of the Year. Okay, so, and always will be. But like the rap, you shoot the video, right? You're shooting, and the videos are very sexual. They were back in the day. So a lot of
today.
Ass in the face and ass in my face.
Right. So now what would happen?
Right. So then there's an after party. I mean, was it directly rape? It's rape adjacent. It's very like the after party turns into the video turns into an after party, turns into kind of an orgy. I mean, can you get out of there? Probably, but you kind of know you won't be invited back, and you're just not a good sport.
Right.
And it's just like it's a sexualized industry. Wow. I'm telling you, whatever Me Too uncovered so far, they say somehow the angel of death mostly flew over the house of music, but that's where most of the bodies are buried. It's like crazy how much all that kind of shit.
And did you ever go to one of those music videos?
No.
Why not?
Because I was at a freak-off party at Puffy's house. I didn't have time, for Christ's sake. This was back in the day. No. No, but I know people who have done them. I know women who have been in the music industry.
Really?
And their tales are, I mean, I guess it'll all come out. This is sort of the beginning of breaking that seal, I think. But, Russell Simmons, I think, went into exile. That's another mogul who, multiple accusations.
Right.
And, and there's Marilyn Manson. I mean, there's just a lot of people who, again, because it's so sexualized to begin with, we're talking about women who throw themselves at guys in the most overt way. And when I say overt, I mean grab your dick. Which is like whenever that happens, I'm
certain intention there. Where am I when all this is happening?
If they grab your dick, what does that mean?
Grab your dick?
Yeah, I mean, are they trying to send you a signal? I'm bad at picking up cues, okay? I know when a girl does this with her hair, it kind of means she wants to fuck, but like the dick. So, that's the world that we're starting with. And then when you get to the parties, so what went on to answer that question? I don't know specifically, but a lot of stuff that women probably did not want to do, but felt they had to do because if they didn't, they were not a good sport who wasn't playing with the people who have power and connections.
I'm going to tell you something you may not believe, and that is I've been an actor since I was 6 years old, okay? And all over the world.
That explains that camera.
And I've never seen that behavior. I've never.
Well, again, this is the music industry.
Well, I've made several albums, and I've got one going now, for example, with Brad Paisley. That
love him.
Love him.
He's a great artist. He was here, and he's such a great guy to talk to.
Oh, he's great.
I'd always had a bit of a thing about country music, and I admit it was a prejudice. I even emailed this to him. I said, I feel silly because your music is so good, and I probably didn't listen to it just because I kind of like had that thought of, and this kind of a micro.
I and my partner Robert Chernow, who's a lyricist, have written another album, lyrics, and Brad is going to do the music.
Oh, wow.
And we've got a great album, and the concept of the album is love, but love of different kinds. I love music. I love my body. I love my health. I love art. And but I love my health because it allows me to love you more, is like the gist of
Yeah.
the song. So we're going to do that. We've put the date somewhere in January to record, but I sent him a scratch track of my what I think is going on the other day. It's really good. That's where I'm at. That's the music industry I'm in. I don't see what you're talking about. I've never seen what you've talking. I've never seen people take drugs. I'm wandering around in an innocent cloud.
Yeah, you.
I mean, I'm blind.
You are. This is coming back to me from the first time you were here. That you
Did I
are.
say that?
No, but but it's triggering a memory of me thinking, wow, this guy kind of like lives in his own world,
I
and
do
like
my work and go home and learn my words and come back and do my work.
right. Well, I mean, I hate to be the one to burst the bubble, but yeah, the
What did
music
I
industry
miss, man?
music industry is full of pimps.
Oh my God.
But
That's funny.
they and the kind of devotion and I don't know what to call it, but it's beyond, it's a preter-human level of adoration that goes on with music stars. I mean, Taylor Swift, I mean, the Beatles, Sinatra, Elvis, I mean,
Yeah.
anybody, Kanye, you know, people it just goes, like I always say, comedy, if you want to, score with comedy with women, it's got to go through the brain. Music, it doesn't have to. You can have no brain at all.
Goes for the beat.
It
Probably.
goes right to the
Yeah.
Pussy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and guys, I mean, I couldn't live without music.
One of the numbers I wrote is I love music,
Yeah.
and enumerate the music, classical music, love song, rock. All the way music affects you. You can love it.
So inspirational, I gotta say, the way what are you now, 94?
93.
3. Oh man, that's the worst thing you can do to a 93-year-old.
Is to say you're 94.
Well, step
Yeah.
on his oxygen nose. But after that,
92 would have been really nice.
But to see that, first of all, you look fine, and also that, like, it's always about tomorrow with you, and that's the secret. It's always about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm doing something with Brad Paisley.
Right.
It's like you got shit on your calendar coming up. You have some time to get sick or die.
That's exactly right.
You got shit to do. I feel the same
I'm
way.
taking a plane at 10:30 Friday night, flying to New York overnight, doing a performance in the morning, going entertaining in the morning, and getting on a plane in the afternoon, coming back.
Wow.
I don't want to be away from home any more than I have to.
Really? Why? What's at home? Just that dragon?
The dragon. A fence.
A fence?
I got a nice sized property, a fence, my dogs, my wife,
Right.
the house, my bed. The
Isn't that
bed. The
oh.
bed.
Sweetheart, I'm getting off the road next year. I mean, I've been on as a stand.
So you know what I mean when you say
Yes.
the bed.
Yes.
The bed's uncovered, the pillows, the sheets, the
Yes.
noise. I was in a hotel this last weekend for 3 days where they didn't have any heat, and it was
Okay, thank you, Jesus. I was just saying to a number of people asking me about, are you sure you get off the road, you'll be okay? I
get
said,
off the road.
I will miss it, but I said, they are making it so easy for me to not miss it. And one of the main reasons is, I don't know what happened, hotels have been going down slowly. And in the last, I would say, year or two, a precipitous plunge.
They turn off the heat at night.
I've had TVs that didn't work in multiple hotels. You can't get the TV to work. I was a couple of weeks ago someplace, and I got to the room after the show, and I like it cold at night, and it was cold. I guess they had turned it to that. I was like, okay, this is cool, great. Sometimes I have to get it cold. Woke up in the morning, it's cold. Okay, now I'll put the heat on. No, didn't go, no heat. And they said, okay, so I'll just turn it off. No, wouldn't turn off either. So I just had to live with, and to people who are like, oh, look at these two rich assholes complaining about, fuck you. First of all, we earned it. We're old. We paid our dues. And we're not asking for the world. TVs
Just some
that
heat.
work, and heat. I've also had,
And the arena I worked in was a hockey rink, so they had boards over the ice.
and, I hate to be the one piling on to the younger generations, but a lot of it is, I'm sorry, apropos of the cliche, Gen Z has shitty fucking work ethics. They don't care. They're either
That's
stoned
true.
or disaffected or both or whatever.
A lot
but
of them have no work ethic.
no work ethic. Like shit just doesn't get done. Simple stuff. They just have this attitude like, oh gosh, I'm in a job that I'm too good for, so why should I do it? It's just
Yeah.
nothing gets
No, that's really, that and global warming are two things to worry about. That's what needs to be corrected. We
Well-
need schools that teach them not only ABC, but work. Work is important.
Well, not
to
to
do
make
it well.
everything about the Trump election, but the general feeling among people, and we know people, they don't follow the issues exactly closely, as you said, and I said myself on the end of our show last week, the economy is actually good. If that really is your big complaint, you just don't know the facts. No, it's more of a feeling they have about the left. And a lot of it is like, it's kind of Gen Z dominated. That the left
What's
people.
Gen Z? What era is that?
Gen Z, I think the oldest of them are like 25 now.
I see.
They came along about 2015. They were the successors to the millennials. And Jonathan Haidt, the great author who follows this stuff closer than anybody, he marks that era when Gen Z came of age as a generation around 2015 to be the beginning of wokeness out of control. And I think he's right. And that's a lot of what this was the determinative in this election. A lot of the country, certainly enough of it, will elect crazy Donald Trump because they think in a crazy race, he's the less crazy. Really. The Democrats lost a crazy race to a crazy man. A truly crazy man beat them in a who's crazier.
I heard an Israeli politician say the people who attacked us are crazy. What they didn't realize is that we're crazier than they are, and they will learn it. I heard that before the whole thing blew
Totally.
up, and there's truth to that.
The Israelis are not crazy at all. They just would love to live in peace. They didn't want the whole thing. They were willing to take half a loaf. They gave Gaza back.
I
Could
give
you
you all
ch-
that, but when it came to war, there was no, what they meant was, there's no stopping us if we should decide to do this.
Wars are either, the policy of this country is let's get a peace,
Truce.
a truce. That's not my policy or Israel's, which is let's win the war. And by the way, when we're in a war, that's our policy. It's only when you're looking from the outside. The best time to ever call for a truce is the day after Israel gets attacked. They got attacked. Truce! It's like, I'm sorry, but if you attack me, I'm going to attack you back. And you made a bad tactical error because I actually am stronger than you. And I will get it done.
And I'm crazier than you.
The Israelis are not crazy at all.
Well, definition of crazy, but what I mean is they know the situation. They know that if they don't finish what they need to finish, it'll happen again in a very short period of time. Because the truth of the matter is they've made more these 10-year-olds and 5-year-olds in the next 10, 20 years will remember. And they've made.
But there's only the least bad answer in any geopolitical decision. But we are talking about people who also have strapped suicide vests on 10-year-olds.
Yeah. No.
We
know that.
to me, the ultimate sign of whether you're hypocritical on this or not is okay, you're all for the Palestinians, and I certainly am for Palestinian civilians and people to be able to live peacefully and healthfully again. It's not like I don't see the misery and feel for it. But if you're taking sides in this, now my view, you're not seeing who the real bad guy is. Where would you live?
Right.
Where would you live in Tel Aviv, or would you rather live in Gaza? Not Gaza under the attack of Israel, just Gaza
Right.
under Hamas, as it was before October 7th.
That's why the two-state thing is
Okay?
the only reasonable
So
explanation.
get real. You would not live in that society. These are not your values, that women are second-class citizens and should be covered and don't really have rights, and gay people, that may be a death penalty thing. And these are not close to your rights. No elections, no freedom of religion, certainly. No, you'd want to live in Tel Aviv, which looks like where you live now. That looks like where you live now. People do what they want. The women wear a sundress when it's nice outside. And we don't have to be Jews. A lot of Jews are very non-Jewy. I mean, they're culturally, but they don't, it's not a religious thing. And then there's others who are cuckoo religious. But where would you live? So, like,
Exactly.
that is where the rubber meets the road for
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's there's the madness of religion there, and there's always been. Why would you kill somebody over the fact that they don't believe the way you believe?
Because if you believe something as important as who created the universe, and all that he did, then it's kind of important that,
Yeah, but if I hold an alternative point of view, I'm not infringing on your belief.
yes, it is. It's too existential to think that you have to convince yourself, first of all, since there's no actual evidence, that there's this supernatural being and you're part of his cult. You have to believe that there's no other possibility. That's where that comes in.
Well, that I don't understand, because it's like
No, it's stupid.
yeah, I don't eat whatever. I don't eat meat. I do, but it's somebody who's a vegetarian. Why would they want to kill me because I want a steak? Go eat your vegetables. I'll eat my steak, and I'll see you at the movies.
I mean, some of that is my PETA friends, and God love them. We're close, and I said this before, but I'm not a vegetarian. They accept that in me, so I don't think those people are that dictatorial about it. But I know what you're saying. Some people would say, like what people say about abortion, it's murder. If you think we shouldn't kill animals, then it's like, hey,
That abortion thing. It's a convenience to think that it isn't murder. It's a convenience.
I agree. I say the same thing. I say it is murder. I'm just okay with it.
Right.
Which is my position.
Right.
That's just my actual position.
Right.
It's like until a person is out, I mean, especially at the early stages, yes, it's undeniably becoming a life. I'm squishy on it. Some liberals think I'm too squishy on it.
So am I.
Because I was not supposed to be born.
What do you mean?
My mother had my sister 3.5 years before me, and it was very difficult. And she had subsequently a number of what in those days, this is the early 1950s, they called exploratory operations. They just opened you up because they're like, what the fuck? We don't know I mean, she was had a lot of, and they said, you should not have another child. And so I understand what it could have been to be on the cutting room floor.
So wait a minute. Well, so your mother conceived again deliberately?
Deliberately, don't ask those questions, or I didn't. I wish I did.
Ah.
Oh, I have to tell you, you're kind of a Jew, right?
I'm a kind of a Jew.
Okay. You'll love this story. So I'm recently had occasion to go through old papers, old family papers that I just threw in a file and never looked. I said someday, and then someday never came. I had reason to do it. And my father saved letters. These are from like the late 40s.
What's his first name?
Bill,
Mm-hmm.
like us. He saved letters from 3 friends that from right after World War II. 2 of them are people he was in the war with. All the way through the early 60s, you know. I mean, a long distance phone call cost like 25 cents. You couldn't, a stamp was 3. So I'm going through all these letters. It's fascinating, you know. And again, I only have half the story because I don't have his letters to them. They're gone.
Right.
And probably those people are dead. But I have the letters they sent back to him. My father, who married my mother in 1951, up until about 3 months before they got married, was engaged to another woman.
Holy cats.
Yeah. Now, my father and mother met in World War II, like overseas. Very romantic. That's 1940.
Bet the other woman.
No,
Met your mother.
my mother and my father.
Overseas.
Yes.
What country?
Probably France in 44 or Germany.
Was she French?
She was a nurse.
What?
She was an Army nurse.
Oh.
And he was in Patton's Army.
Right.
So he knew her from 1944 to 1951. I don't know, during that time, were they seeing other people? Was he cheating? I have no idea. But I do know from the letters, he was about to marry this other woman. I'm talking about months before he married my mother, and then breaks it off. And I mean, he could have used the same hall that he rented. It was only like 3 months later.
Oh, my Lord.
And I think what happened was Catholic Bill Maher, Irish Catholic boys just did not marry Jewish girls in 1951. And I think at the last minute, he was like, fuck it. You know what? That's the one I love.
Wow.
And I'm going to marry her.
Wow.
But up until then, I think he was going to marry this other girl. Now, that's not exactly in the letters.
Right.
But
that's the story you got.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Bill,
a Jewish Catholic union was way more outrageous than black-white is today.
I know. So your mother gets pregnant, but you don't know whether it was deliberate or not.
No. What am I going to say? Hey.
She wanted to have a baby with your father.
I wish I knew, I wish I knew the answer to these questions.
You've pondered that question.
No, actually, I never did.
Wow.
Never did.
So she has you. She has you with great difficulty.
No, my sister with difficulty.
Yeah.
And then they told her, don't have another one.
And then you come along.
I was fine.
And you were fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And back then, she smoked during pregnancy, as women did. She, was in World War II.
So did French doctors, by the way. We were in France, and the doctor comes in with a.
She smoked. She also had her scotch at 5 o'clock. Like, okay. No, really. I mean, we make too much of. Look.
What? Too much of what?
Well, I have seen people in a restaurant berate a stranger, a woman who's pregnant, because they were drinking a glass of wine.
Wait a minute. They didn't want her to be pregnant?
She was there. What they're saying,
why are you in the bar?
Shaming her for drinking while she was pregnant.
See. Well, there's a certain amount of truth to that.
I know, but a pregnant woman can have one fucking drink without the kid coming out to be Tom Sizemore.
Well, you don't know. That might have been his problem. That's why his name is Sizemore. Oh, my dear.
How's everything else? Good?
Everything is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look good.
Working hard. I really want to go back for a moment to this strange Antarctic trip aboard a liner, a real luxury thing that's going to do 10 days with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh,
part of it.
He's on our show in 2 weeks.
Talk to him about it, because
I will.
We're both going to be on it.
So take me through it, though, step by step. You leave
here
and you fly to where?
Buenos Aires.
Where I was going to say Buenos Aires.
Then the chartered plane to Buenos Aires, to the very tip of South America.
Patagonia?
Well, I believe it's Patagonia, but it's even Ushuaia, I think, is the name of the town.
But
then you board the ship, and you get the ship goes to the
Okay, so the
Antarctic,
tip, if you can picture, and I can because I love geography, the very
Right.
tip of South America
is the town of Ushuaia.
it's like a little rat tail.
Right.
The
A
islands
little
get
curl back there.
well as the islands get smaller and
Yes,
smaller.
yes.
So you're at the very tip.
So now you're
So
at
you
the
fly
very
from
tip. You got
Buenos Aires.
600 miles of the most active ocean.
You got to on
board
ship
the ship,
600 miles to
600
Antarctica.
miles takes a day and a half.
I once went to Catalina. I threw up 3 times. I'm not kidding.
well, Catalina on a windy day.
Oh my
Yeah, but what
God.
kind of a boat did you have? This is
Yeah.
a big liner's,
It
250
was
cabins.
a nice boat.
Well, what do you mean a nice boat? It's a little cabin cruiser.
We bought a boat.
You had a boat.
Yeah, I have a boat. I've been on it once. I don't like boats.
Why did you buy it?
My friend and I, who lives here, and takes care of important matters, he thinks it'd be a good idea if the earthquake hits to have a boat and
But is there going to be a tsunami?
get out of Dodge.
You're going to be swamped.
Well, we're not going to. A tsunami? Well, it's a tsunami if the earthquake happens in the ocean. That's not where the fault line is. The fault line is in California.
Well, so you think it's going to, no, we're not going to shake over there. We're going to shake over here. You know, shake is a shake.
Yeah, but at some point the shake is over, and then the people are refugees.
Oh,
So
well, getting out of Dodge. But now you're going to
Yes.
get from here to
everybody,
to the
but
dock.
everybody would be going the other way.
Well, yes or no. Some people will be jumping aboard your boat.
That could happen. Yeah,
You mean that could happen?
that's possible. You're right. But they don't have the keys. They can't make it start.
No, but they can get out and paddle. They can get out onto the water.
You know, there's
get away.
there's a seal who sleeps on it.
A seal?
A seal, yes.
Right. Does it have a seal of approval?
No, it's not a Navy, an actual seal that shits on the boat.
So there's a seal that's made.
I'm hoping the seal will drive other people away as a gratitude to us for letting him sleep and shit on the boat all these
Does he
years.
shit on the boat?
Yes.
So you got seal
And
shit.
he could sleep there. I'd be happy with the sleeping if it wasn't for the shitting. But it's so hard to talk to a seal. They pretend they don't speak English. But so, anyway, what was the point?
The point was the shake and
the
getting aboard the
earthquake.
boat, going the other way. And
We were talking about the space between us all. That's a song. You know what song that is?
the space between the song.
No, well, the Within You, Without You, the song on Sgt. Pepper, George
Yes.
Harrison's.
Yes.
You know Sgt. Pepper. Right?
Yes, of course.
Well, side 2 starts with Within You, Without You, which doesn't really fit not only on that album, but on any Western album, because George got into Indian music.
Right.
It's a fusion song, and there is Western
Well, they
influence.
did. They got involved in the whole Eastern thing.
He was very. I mean, they
All of them. Huh?
well, they all went for vacation there in February of 1968. Ringo left very soon. He didn't like the food. He didn't take to it, and I would be the same way. Paul and John stayed.
How do you know all this?
The same way I know, basic things about. I don't know.
No, that's very esoteric knowledge.
It's not.
Who else?
Lots of people
course
know.
it is. No,
Lots of-
people know about that.
Lots of people my age know about the Beatles
Yeah,
because
but not such intimate. and
yes,
intricate.
this is not arcane knowledge that they went to India. The
No,
Maharishi.
I know they went to India.
There you go.
All right, but to know that he wrote the song and they were influenced. They had a lot of Indian influence in their music.
Not a
at
lot,
that-
but
at
they
that
did. Not
time.
a lot, but they did use the sitar to great effect in Norwegian wood. It's great on there. It's perfect because it's like new, and it's guitar-like, but it was a totally different sound.
Yes.
They did that first. Like everything in music they did first.
Is there a coincidence that it has a guitar sound and is known as a sitar?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Right. Guitar, sitar. Of course, if Elvis sang Sitar Man, it would not have really, I think, taken
A
off.
sitar man would not work.
No, I don't think so.
That's what they sing in India.
But
Sitar man.
yeah, he was sincere about the Indian thing, and some of the Indian music was, he westerned it up a little. There's another one called The Inner Light. I mean, the lyrics are heavily influenced. If
I'm
not,
surprised you don't like the food.
Indian food, I love it.
Oh, I thought just you didn't like it.
No, the
No,
food's
it's
great.
great food.
No, it's the gods I can't stand.
Gods?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they have
They're religious
No,
gods.
yeah. Look, it's like Eastern religions, which the people who follow them very often like to downplay as religions. I mean, Buddhists get a little insulted when you say it's a religion, because it's like, oh, religion, that's for the for the fucking,
I didn't know that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
that it is a religion.
Well, that it is, your definition of religion is precepts you live by, and they certainly live by Buddhist precepts.
I think there are deeper things about religion than that. It's
Well,
not just
but that's when you call it. I off the top of my head, that's when you call it a religion. If you're saying no, that's not.
I mean, the precepts you live by is part of religions for sure, but the basic part of it, I think, is giving people an answer to the questions that they can't answer, where you need to make up a story about it. Where did I come from? What happens when I die?
Right.
Those questions make people nervous. Religion's main function is to ease your mind about those questions. Then they overlay. Sometimes
I have a great fear of dying. The leaving my home and all the leaving you. By that I mean by friends and people you want to be with.
Yeah, I want to see the playoffs.
Right. The playoffs, exactly.
Yeah. How am I going to know who wins if I'm dead?
I'm able, in times of some intelligence, excuse me, to rationalize the adventure. I'm thinking of life as an adventure each day. This experience with talking with you and jumping from subject to subject and listening to you laugh and me cough on it. But I'm thinking of it as an adventure. My life has become an adventure. And so most mundane things, taking my dog's head and saying, I love you, I love you. It's just that moment is the adventure. Children, the political thing. It's all part of our adventure in life. We're writing our book as we go.
I mean, younger people will not understand this at all, but as you get older and the years get more precious, you even prize mundane things.
Absolutely.
I remember about, 5 years ago, I was cutting my toenails. And for some reason, this thought popped into my head.
This is hysterical.
I'm just telling you what happened. This thought popped into my head that, I cut my toenails only about like once every maybe 3 months. My fingernails I cut like weekly, but toenails, maybe you don't notice, but I think they don't grow as fast. So
they don't grow as fast.
Okay, so
but they grow thicker.
Yeah. So, but like every 4 times a year, and it just popped into my head, wow, there's like a finite number of times that I will be be cutting my toe. I mean,
do you read the ads for the nail clippers for older people?
But I mean, if it's 4 times a year, and I live at, even if I live to 100, that'd be another 30 years. That's only like
120
nail clippings. So now every time I'm cutting my toenails, I'm
this is 119. It's too bad you don't count the lovemaking times that you have left.
Oh, who cares about that? But the toenails just rocks my world.
They have ads for toenail clippers for older people.
Well, what is different about a clipper for older people?
Because your nails thicken, and a fingernail clipper doesn't work really well on your toenails.
You need a weed whacker.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
And then you cut your socks with it. And they make those too, by the way. They make it's a file. It's a little round thing that is a file, and it goes here, and you go to. It's true. Your toenails.
I could do that all night.
Yeah. At least you can bend over. I can't get over that far anymore.
Look what I found on the floor.
What is it?
My appearances. I hope that's not a sign.
What is
No,
it?
I'm at the Beacon Theater. Oh, my gosh, the Beacon in November 16th, coming right up. The theater.
Are you advertising?
Yeah, the
Who are you
theater.
going to be?
The theater.
Aren't you sold out all the time?
The theater, I guess.
Aren't you?
I don't know. It's a great question. The theater at I assume not. If we're the theater at MGM Grand, Las Vegas. No, I'm not in Las Vegas. November 17th, Las Vegas. Whoever wrote this is what I was talking about. Gen Z
Is
Stone.
fired.
November 17th. I happen to know I'm in Washington D.C.
What are you going to do there?
Actually, it's in Maryland, but it's the Washington area.
I just
can't
came
remember
from
the name of it.
It's cold and damp.
Oh my God! And then things I don't even want plugged. And and here's my shopping list for next week.
Thick socks.
Well, I hope we can.
There's a certain finality in well, I.
With what?
There's a certain finality to, well, I like to call this to a close.
I'll have another drink if you're up for it.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
You're done?
Well, I mean, if you're done, I've got to be done. It's a mutual. This is a fuck off.
Freak off.
It's our kind of freak off.
Yeah, I got to go back to work. I have so much work this week because, again, election week. It's not like any other week.
What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to have, I mean, look, everybody in America will be basically having the same conversation for the next quite a long time on news shows, which is, what happened to the Democrats? What do they do to fix it? That's all the topic is.
We won and there's lousy Democrats. And
yes.
What did we do that made it great?
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there'll be more of those shows than the others.
They get a chance to, like it's one thing to win. It's another thing to win big. I mean, he won big.
What's your opinion of Van? Given the possibility, since 2 attempts have been made, what do you think of Vance?
Oh, J.D. Vance. Well, he looks like. Did you see the debate with Walls? I mean, it was like a debate that you'd see in Canada.
Oh, it was so polite.
So polite.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm hoping that guy comes out, but he's obviously shown himself to be a guy who obviously will turn on a dime. He said Trump could be America's Hitler, and then he's his vice president. So, how much hope can I have for integrity?
Yeah.
But
that's what bothers me.
Yeah, no, it's a worrisome time. But I will say it again: the thing I most dread is boredom.
Well, here's what I think we should do, Billy. Treat it as an adventure. We're off on on January 6th.
You're so right.
We're on
20th.
20th. We're on an adventure. What's going to happen? How do we modulate it? How do we live with it? How do we agree with it? How do we take this new element in our lives and receive it and work with it?
If I may, speaking of January 6th, as long as you did say that date, let's not forget about this election we just had. Okay, it's over. But the only reason it's over is he won. If he had lost, we would be in all sorts of shit right now because he would never say, I lost. So let's not have any more of this bullshit.
That's a really interesting point.
Let's not have any more of this bullshit about, here's a video of Democrats saying the president's illegitimate. Yes, Democrats grumble about Republican presidents and how they got there. That's a whole different kettle of fish than, okay, you won, which is what they do and the Republicans don't.
Well, this has been,
among other depressing topics,
this has been
I thought
terrific.
I'd end with,
what a great.
And AI is going to kill us all. But I love getting to be better friends with you every time.
It's great, Bill.
And we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
We'll make it an annual since you were our first.
Until I die.
Well, that's not going to happen, Bill. That's the good side of AI.